Implementation of tariff strategies in 2023, for key phases and $1.8 billion budget allocation for trade enforcement measures. Overview. In 2023, the landscape of international trade underwent a significant transformation as governments worldwide sought to protect domestic industries while navigating the complexities of global economic interdependence. Central to this initiative was the implementation of structured tariff strategies, which were meticulously designed and executed in 4 key phases. Accompanying these strategies was a substantial budget allocation of $1.8 billion dedicated to enhancing trade enforcement measures. This report delineates each phase of implementation, the strategic objectives, and the anticipated outcomes of these tariff strategies. Key phases of implementation. 1. Assessment and planning. The initial phase of the tariff strategy implementation involved a thorough assessment of existing tariff structures and an analysis of the current trade dynamics. Government agencies collaborated with stakeholders, including industries most affected by trade policies, to gather data and insights. During this phase, economic analysts focused on the following key tasks. Identification of vulnerable sectors. Stakeholders identified sectors that required protection from unfair trade practices such as agricultural products, technology sectors, and manufacturing. Data collection. Comprehensive data were collected on current tariff impacts, import-export trends, and competitive dynamics in various industries. Alignment with national economic goals. The assessment ensured that tariff strategies aligned with broader national economic objectives such as job creation, GDP growth, and trade balance improvement. By the end of this phase, a strategic framework was established outlining the potential adjustments needed in the tariff structure. 2. Development of enforcement mechanisms. The second phase concentrated on developing effective enforcement mechanisms to ensure compliance with the revised tariff strategies. This phase was bolstered by the earmarked budget of $1.8 billion, which was allocated to various initiatives aimed at strengthening trade enforcement capabilities. Key activities during this phase included resource allocation. Funding was directed towards enhancing compliance checks, intelligence gathering, and technology upgrades to monitor trade activities. Coordination with international bodies. Effective collaboration with international trade organizations, customs agencies, and other regulatory bodies was prioritized to ensure a cohesive approach to enforcement. Training and capacity building. Programs were established to train enforcement personnel on new compliance standards and procedures, fostering a knowledgeable workforce capable of implementing the new strategies effectively. This phase set the foundation for a robust enforcement framework, reinforcing the government's commitment to combating unfair trade practices. 3. Implementation and monitoring. The third phase witnessed the actual rollout of the revised tariff strategies. This phase was critical as it marked the transition from planning to execution. Key components of this phase included tariff adjustments. Revised tariffs were implemented across various sectors based on the assessments conducted earlier, with specific emphasis on protecting domestic industries. Monitoring systems. Advanced monitoring systems were established to track trade flows and assess the impact of tariffs on local markets. These systems utilized real-time data analytics to provide insights into trade patterns and compliance rates. Regular assessments. Periodic evaluations were conducted to ensure that the implementation was achieving the desired economic outcomes. Stakeholders were encouraged to provide feedback on the effectiveness of the strategies. This phase was characterized by a proactive approach to monitoring, ensuring that any emerging issues could be addressed promptly. 4. Review and adjustment. The final phase involved a cyclical review process designed to evaluate the effectiveness of the implemented tariff strategies. This phase was essential for ensuring the long-term sustainability and adaptability of the tariff framework. Key activities included data analysis. Stakeholders analyzed data related to trade performance, industry growth, and compliance rates to determine the effectiveness of the tariffs. Stakeholder engagement. Ongoing dialogue with affected industries and trade organizations was encouraged to gather insights and perspectives on the impact of the tariff adjustments. Strategic modifications. Based on the evaluations, necessary modifications were made to the tariffs and enforcement strategies to adapt to changing economic conditions and trade dynamics. This phase reinforced the government's commitment to continuous improvement, ensuring that the tariff strategies remained relevant and effective. Conclusion. The implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 represents a comprehensive and methodical approach to trade enforcement. The structured four-phase process, supported by a significant budget allocation of $1.8 billion, highlights the government's commitment to protecting domestic industries and ensuring fair trade practices. By prioritizing assessment, enforcement, implementation, and review, stakeholders are equipped to navigate the complexities of international trade while fostering a resilient economic environment. Timeline of events. Early 2023, initiation of the assessment phase with data gathering on current tariff impacts. Mid-2023, development of enforcement mechanisms, including the allocation of the $1.8 billion budget. Late 2023, implementation of revised tariff strategies takes effect with monitoring systems established. End of 2023, review and adjustment phase initiated with evaluations of the new strategies and planning for future adaptations. In summary, the technical implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 was marked by a structured approach, significant financial investment, and a focus on data-driven decision-making, all aimed at achieving sustainable economic growth and trade compliance. The content provided outlines the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023, structured around a four-phase approach with a significant budget allocation. However, several counterintuitive points can be identified within this framework. 1. Budget allocation versus economic impact. While the $1.8 billion budget allocation for trade enforcement measures seems robust, it is counterintuitive to assume that increased funding will directly correlate with improved trade compliance and economic growth. The effectiveness of such a financial commitment hinges not just on the amount allocated but on how strategically it is utilized. If the enforcement mechanisms developed do not align well with the specific needs of affected industries, the expected positive outcomes may not materialize. 2. Comprehensive assessment risks. The initial phase emphasizes a comprehensive assessment of existing tariffs and trade dynamics. However, it's counterintuitive to think that a thorough analysis can fully capture the complexities of global trade. Market conditions can change rapidly, and the economic landscape can shift in unpredictable ways, which may render even the most detailed assessments partially obsolete by the time they are implemented. 3. Monitoring systems limitations. The third phase involves setting up monitoring systems to track the impact of tariffs. It may seem logical to assume that regular assessments will ensure success. However, the reality is that such systems can be limited by data availability and the capability to analyze this data accurately. There is a risk that the monitoring systems may not provide timely insights, leading to ineffective adjustments to tariff strategies based on outdated or incomplete information. 4. Cyclical review process challenges. The final review and adjustment phase is presented as a cyclical and responsive process. Yet, there is a counterintuitive element in believing that continuous reviews will inherently lead to improvements. Stakeholders may face challenges in reaching consensus on what constitutes a successful modification, and bureaucratic inertia could slow down necessary changes. Moreover, frequent adjustments may create instability in trade relations and business planning, leading to uncertainty for domestic industries. 5. Sector-specific focus discrepancies. The document notes differences between sources regarding which sectors are most impacted by tariff strategies. It is counterintuitive to assume that a one-size-fits-all approach to tariffs will effectively address the diverse needs of various industries. The varying impacts on sectors like agriculture versus technology suggest that a tailored strategy might be more effective. However, the overarching tariff framework may not provide the flexibility required to address these specific needs adequately. 6. Stakeholder collaboration complexity, while the emphasis on collaboration among stakeholders is highlighted. It is counterintuitive to believe that this will always lead to effective outcomes. Different stakeholders often have competing interests and priorities, which can complicate the decision-making process. If consensus is not reached, the implementation of tariff strategies may be hindered by conflicting agendas, leading to inefficiencies and potential policy failures. In conclusion, while the structured approach to tariff implementation in 2023 appears methodical and well-supported, several counterintuitive elements suggest that the anticipated outcomes may not be as straightforward as they seem. The complexities of global trade, the limitations of enforcement mechanisms, and the challenges of stakeholder collaboration all point to a need for cautious optimism regarding the effectiveness of these tariff strategies. The report on the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 outlines a significant initiative for trade enforcement featuring a structured approach and substantial financial backing. While the main components of the report may capture the attention of many, certain critical aspects and nuances may be overlooked, which hold significant implications for trade dynamics, economic policy, and domestic industries. Key aspects often overlooked. 1. Sector-specific impact analysis. While the report acknowledges that different analyses may prioritize various sectors affected by tariffs, such as agriculture versus technology, this sector-specific impact is crucial. The nuances of how tariffs will hit different industries can lead to uneven economic effects. For example, protective tariffs on certain agricultural imports may benefit domestic farmers but could lead to retaliatory measures that hurt other sectors such as agriculture-dependent manufacturing. Understanding these intersectoral dynamics is vital for policymakers to avoid unintended consequences that could destabilize the broader economy. 2. Role of data in decision-making. The emphasis on data-driven decision-making during the assessment and planning phase is significant but often underappreciated. The report mentions the use of data to inform tariff adjustments. Yet the complexities of data interpretation in the context of global trade should not be underestimated. Misinterpretation of data trends can lead to misguided policy decisions. Therefore, the methodologies behind data collection and analysis warrant scrutiny to ensure that they accurately reflect market realities and do not overlook emerging trends or disruptions. 3. Long-term adaptability. The cyclical review and adjustment phase is critical in a rapidly changing global trade environment. The report mentions ongoing evaluations to adapt to changing conditions, yet how this adaptability is operationalized can be easily overlooked. For instance, the mechanisms for feedback from industries and stakeholders can significantly affect how agile the tariff strategies are. If the feedback loop is weak, the ability to pivot in response to economic shifts will be compromised, leading to potential stagnation or negative outcomes. 4. Collaboration with international trade bodies. The mention of coordination with international trade bodies in developing enforcement mechanisms is significant yet often neglected. Engaging with international organizations can enhance compliance and foster cooperative trade relations. However, the extent to which the U.S. can effectively collaborate with these bodies while pursuing unilateral tariff strategies is a delicate balance that could impact global trade relationships. Misalignment could provoke trade tensions affecting not only bilateral relations but also broader multilateral trade agreements. 5. Budget allocation implications. The $1.8 billion budget for trade enforcement is a substantial commitment, but the allocation of these funds deserves more attention. The report does not provide specifics on how this budget will be distributed across various enforcement mechanisms. Understanding which areas, e.g., compliance checks, technology investments, workforce training, receive priority can reveal the government's strategic focus and preparedness to handle trade disputes or compliance failures. This granularity is essential for stakeholders who may need to align their strategies with government priorities. 6. Potential for retaliation. The risk of retaliation from trading partners as a response to new tariff strategies is a critical point that may not be fully explored in the report. Tariff imposition can lead to a tit-for-tat escalation that could harm U.S. exporters and create volatility in international markets. Potential retaliatory measures can undermine the intended benefits of tariffs by closing foreign markets to U.S. goods. Assessing the geopolitical landscape and anticipating reactions from other nations is crucial for crafting effective trade policies. 7. Domestic industry resilience. While the report emphasizes protecting domestic industries, the broader context of industry resilience under changing tariff regimes is vital. Tariffs can sometimes create a false sense of security for protected industries, leading them to become complacent rather than innovate. Monitoring the long-term health and competitiveness of these industries rather than just their immediate survival is essential for sustainable economic growth. Policymakers should consider how tariffs can be integrated with broader strategies for innovation and competitiveness. 8. Impact on consumers. The implications of tariff strategies for consumers are another aspect that may not receive adequate attention. Tariffs can lead to increased prices for goods, which can disproportionately affect lower-income households. While the goal is to protect domestic industries, the potential negative impact on consumer prices and choices is significant. Policymakers must weigh the benefits of protecting certain sectors against the potential cost burden on consumers. Conclusion. The report provides a comprehensive framework for implementing tariff strategies in 2023. But several critical aspects warrant closer examination. Understanding the nuanced impacts across sectors, ensuring robust data interpretation, fostering long-term adaptability, enhancing collaboration with international bodies, analyzing budget allocations, anticipating retaliation, promoting domestic industry resilience, and considering consumer effects are all essential for a holistic approach to trade policy. By diving deeper into these often overlooked areas, stakeholders can better navigate the complexities of trade enforcement and contribute to more effective and sustainable economic policies. The analysis of the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 reveals 4 key points that are particularly valuable for in-depth discussion. These points reflect the structured approach to tariff implementation, the financial commitment to trade enforcement, the necessity of ongoing monitoring and adjustments, and the collaborative nature of stakeholder engagement. 1. Structured approach to tariff implementation. The initial phase of assessment and planning emphasizes the importance of a structured approach. This involves a detailed analysis of existing tariff structures and the economic landscape. Stakeholders must identify sectors that require protection and determine the necessary tariff adjustments. This structured method ensures that strategies are not only reactive but also proactive, aligning with national economic goals. In-depth discussion points. How can a structured approach mitigate risks associated with tariff adjustments? What methodologies can be employed to assess the economic landscape effectively? Which sectors are most at risk and why should they be prioritized in the assessment phase? 2. Significant budget allocation for trade enforcement. The decision to allocate $1.8 billion for trade enforcement measures underlines the commitment to strengthening trade policies. This budget is crucial for developing enforcement mechanisms, including compliance checks and intelligence gathering, which are essential for effective tariff regulation. In-depth discussion points. What specific enforcement mechanisms will be funded by this budget allocation? How can the effectiveness of trade enforcement be measured? What are the potential implications for domestic industries if enforcement mechanisms fail? 3. Ongoing monitoring and adjustment. The third phase of implementation and monitoring highlights the necessity of tracking the impact of tariffs on trade flows in domestic markets. This phase is critical for ensuring that the intended economic outcomes are realized and provides a foundation for making real-time adjustments based on data analysis. In-depth discussion points. What technologies or systems can enhance monitoring capabilities? How often should assessments take place to ensure timely adjustments? What data indicators are most critical for determining the success of tariff strategies? 4. Collaboration among stakeholders. The cyclical review and adjustment phase emphasizes the importance of collaboration among various stakeholders, including government agencies, trade organizations, and industry representatives. This collaborative approach is vital for evaluating the effectiveness of tariff strategies and adapting to changing economic conditions. In-depth discussion points. How can stakeholders be engaged in the review process to ensure diverse perspectives? What role does public feedback play in shaping tariff strategies? How can collaboration be fostered among international trade bodies to address cross-border trade issues? Conclusion. In summary, the implementation of tariff strategies in 2023 is characterized by a structured approach, significant budget allocation for enforcement, a focus on ongoing monitoring and adjustments, and collaborative stakeholder engagement. Each of these points offers avenues for deeper analysis and discussion, providing insights into how tariff strategies can be effectively implemented to protect domestic industries while promoting fair trade practices. 1. Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. This act was a significant piece of legislation in the United States that raised tariffs on numerous imported goods. It was initially intended to protect American industry during the Great Depression. However, it resulted in retaliatory tariffs from other countries, leading to a decrease in international trade and worsening the economic crisis globally. The Smoot-Hawley tariff is often cited as a cautionary example of how poorly designed tariff strategies can have adverse effects on trade and economic relations. 2. Section 301 Tariffs on China 2018. In response to concerns over China's trade practices, the U.S. implemented a series of tariffs under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, targeting billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. This move was part of a broader strategy to address unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. The tariffs faced criticism for their impact on U.S. consumers and businesses, leading to trade tensions between the two nations. Over the following years, the situation prompted negotiations and adjustments to the tariffs as both countries sought to mitigate the economic fallout. 3. European Union's Common External Tariff (CET). Established in 1968, the CET is a key component of the European Union's trade policy, allowing member states to collectively impose tariffs on goods imported from outside the EU. This strategy aims to protect domestic industries while promoting a unified trade approach among member countries. Throughout its history, the CET has undergone various revisions in response to global trade dynamics, economic changes, and pressures from international trade agreements, highlighting the need for ongoing assessment and adjustment of tariff strategies. Future outlook: predictions for tariff strategies beyond 2023. As we look ahead from the structured implementation of tariff strategies in 2023, several key predictions can be made regarding the evolution of these policies and their impacts on the global trade landscape. The framework established in 2023, with its 4 key phases and a robust budget allocation for trade enforcement, sets the stage for ongoing developments that will shape economic interactions in the coming years. 1. Increased global trade tensions. The implementation of tariffs and trade enforcement measures will likely exacerbate global trade tensions, as nations seek to protect their domestic industries from perceived unfair practices. Retaliation is expected. Countries affected by U.S. tariffs may respond with their own trade barriers, leading to a tit-for-tat escalation. This cycle can increase uncertainty in international markets, affecting global supply chains and trade agreements. 2. Enhanced trade compliance technologies. In response to the growing complexity of trade regulations, we can anticipate a surge in the adoption of advanced compliance technologies. Artificial intelligence (AI) and machine learning will play pivotal roles in monitoring trade flows and ensuring compliance with tariff regulations. By 2025, companies may increasingly rely on sophisticated software to manage their tariff classifications and compliance, reducing the risk of penalties and fostering smoother international trade operations. 3. Sector-specific adjustments. While the initial strategies may apply broadly across various sectors, future tariff adjustments are expected to become more nuanced. As data from the monitoring and review phases accumulate, policymakers will likely identify specific industries that require targeted interventions. For example, sectors such as technology, renewable energy, and agriculture may receive tailored tariff policies designed to bolster domestic competitiveness while addressing international trade imbalances. 4. Emphasis on multilateral trade agreements. In the wake of heightened tariffs and trade enforcement measures, there may be a renewed interest in multilateral trade agreements. Countries will recognize the need for cooperative frameworks to mitigate the adverse effects of unilateral tariff implementations. By 2025, we could see a shift towards negotiating comprehensive trade deals that emphasize fair trade practices and mutual economic benefits, potentially reducing the reliance on tariffs as a primary tool for trade policy. 5. Sustainability and ethical trade practices. As global awareness of sustainability issues grows, future tariff strategies may increasingly consider environmental and ethical dimensions. Trade policies could evolve to incorporate incentives for sustainable practices, such as lower tariffs for goods produced through environmentally friendly methods. By 2026, we may witness a more integrated approach where trade enforcement not only focuses on compliance but also promotes sustainability in global supply chains. 6. Dynamic review and adaptation processes. The cyclical review process initiated in 2023 will likely lead to more dynamic and responsive tariff strategies. As economic conditions fluctuate, policymakers may adopt a more agile approach, allowing for rapid adjustments in tariffs based on real-time data and market feedback. This adaptability will be crucial in navigating the uncertainties of global markets, enabling countries to respond effectively to emerging challenges and opportunities. 7. Increased focus on domestic resilience. Future tariff strategies will likely prioritize building domestic resilience in key industries. The lessons learned from the disruptions caused by global events such as the COVID-19 pandemic will drive governments to implement policies that strengthen local manufacturing and supply chains. By 2025, we can expect a greater emphasis on self-sufficiency, leading to tariffs that specifically protect critical sectors deemed vital for national security and economic stability. Conclusion. The future of tariff strategies is poised to be shaped by a combination of geopolitical dynamics, technological advancements, and evolving economic priorities. As countries navigate the complexities of international trade, the focus will shift towards creating a more balanced and fair trading system that fosters compliance, sustainability, and domestic resilience. The structured approach adopted in 2023 is just the beginning, and the coming years will require agility, innovation, and cooperation to address the multifaceted challenges of global trade.